Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Kenneth Price, and we are at Sunday, January 29th, and this is our 62nd Sunday morning Zoom call for the ministry. I'm hosting psychiatricsobriety.com. It looks like it's going to be a very intimate Zoom meeting this morning. I just have my mighty companion, Chris, who's just one of my favorites on this Zoom call, because he's just going to be soaring all the way, into the Pleiades, beyond his psychiatric parable. He's doing this with the camera, but this is my 5-minute introduction. I record these Zoom calls because they're valuable, because this is good stuff that we're talking about. So what is this ministry? Who am I? This ministry. Let's start off with who I am. I've already introduced myself. I'm Kenneth Price. I'm a 55-year-old man, and I have what I call a psychiatric parable. I was in psychiatry for 25 years. Psychiatry actually created the mental illness that I never had in the first place. No fault, no blame. It's a very deep rabbit hole, folks. Psychiatry was trying to fix a problem at the level of the problem. Einstein said you can't solve a problem at the level of the problem. Again, no fault, no blame. It was the best learning opportunity of my entire life. It's actually, the whole thing turned out to be for my best benefit, because I'm just, it's only been about a year and a half, and I've already started my own ministry. And what I gathered from all of that is going to take this message, and it's going to build this message, and it's going to help countless. But I do have a very horrendous story. 25 years on countless pills that may have saved my life in the beginning, but because psychiatry is well, it's not based. I don't want to go into it, but the pills actually made me sicker, and by the end, it included benzodiazepines. So I had to go through some very difficult withdrawals, but we don't focus on the problem here. The message that I've got is I've completely emerged from all that. I've grown from all that. I've evolved beyond that, and because of that story, I get to host these. We do a Zoom call every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's what this is. This is number 62. I've got like 40 midweek Zoom calls, probably over 100. And then I just posted video, because this message is so important. Because here's what I heard when I was inside of that spider web. You're going to be on these pills for the rest of your life. You have a chemical imbalance. None of that turned out to be true. Now, in order to back out of that, it took a lot of hard work. But that's what we do here. We do the hard work, and you want to do this work. This is the only work. Looks like somebody else is on this call. My favorite companion, beloved. All right, so why is it a ministry? Because since you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem, the mind was what I think Charles Fillmore called it, the carnal mind. And it's basically the egoic mind. You can't fix this problem with the ego. It's a setup. So why is it a ministry? Because we have to use the mind of God, Spirit, Jehovah, Jeshua, Krishna, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, but higher power. That's why it's called psychiatric sobriety, because I'm a 12-stepper from way back. But basically what people benefit from is experience, strength, and hope. Way shows. People who have emerged and have we don't go into the stories, but we go into our testimonies. People, if you believe it's hopeless, like an AA meeting, you walk in there and you just think, oh, I'm not ready to jump off a bridge, and you hear somebody at the podium, a speaker, who was ready to jump off a bridge at one time, and they're happy and they're smiling and they're laughing, and you can relate. This is why the 12-step meeting was so valuable. You could relate to those people. Because those people were, we even said in the 12-step program, we were once where you are now. And that's basically kind of like the gist of this ministry. It's kind of a hybrid Course in Miracles, 12-step, whatever you want to call it. So I told you I was a member. I don't know if I did, but I'll tell you now. I am a Course in Miracles student. When I got on my knees and I said, there's got to be a better way, God help me. I'll do anything. That was my prayer. I'll do anything. And that's when the trail of breadcrumbs out of my dark forest of mental illness began to emerge. And part of that was a very clear and defined path. the Course in Miracles. You don't have to be a Course in Miracles student, but what you're going to discover is when that prayer gets earnest, and that's the good thing about hitting bottom, because when you hit bottom, you're praying for your life, and those prayers can be heard because they're not compromise prayers. They're prayers of get me out of this. I'll do anything no matter what. That's when the help began to arrive. I use a lot of euphemisms, and I go, the cavalry has arrived. So I don't know, about a 5-minute introduction. So that's how this ministry operates. It's based on what comes through the participants and the hosts. And that being said, I start everyone off with the healer's prayer, which comes directly from the Course in Miracles, which goes like this. We are here only to be truly helpful, and we are here to represent him or her who sent us. We do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he or she who sent us will direct us. We are content to be wherever he or she wishes, knowing that he or she goes there with us, and drum roll, because we all want to be healed. People who watch this archives, the medically injured community, when will I heal? When will I heal? Well, it's the last line of the healer's prayer. We will be healed as we let him or her teach us how to heal. Folks, how did I get out of that psychiatric parable? I started putting myself out there, and I started extending myself, and I didn't wait until I was healed. I started extending myself, and that is how I healed. If we wait until we're healed, well, we're all right. I blabbed enough. Chris, beloved, how are you? Big smiles. We gotta have big smiles. Because at the moment we take this seriously, it's gonna slow us down. So if I could serve any purpose, can you guys get a chuckle out of this? I know it's hard.
I'll chuckle. Yeah, I'm feeling good, and I'm happy to be here and show off that I'm feeling good, because anyone who's been through this, right? It's like you never feel like you'll start to feel better. And I still feel like I'm coming out of that forest and everything. I'm still on a low dose of Paxil after coming up on 25 years, and then coming up on almost 2 years of tapering off. But something started to click like last fall, and it's interesting. I think what was clicking was like a change in mindset, because I think my symptoms improved and everything. I think my circumstances were improving slightly, but I think it was more of this shift in mindset. Now I've got symptoms of withdrawal, but they don't bother me as much, and I feel like I can kind of navigate through those symptoms a little bit better, and I feel far less focused on the withdrawal, and it's more about like my future and just looking ahead and developing this new way of navigating my emotions and navigating the world, being more aware of how I'm kind of creating that world and telling myself so many stories. Oh my God, that's been a big thing recently. I'll catch myself thinking all the time, and I'll just kind of pause and be like, is that true? Like what I just said. I wish I could think of a good example. Maybe I'll just could be thinking about something big or small. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah, beloved, I see you saying me too. And I'll catch myself like, what I just told myself, maybe it's some statement about the world or life or time or something really heavy. And I'll go, is that even true? And so I remember sharing in one of these meetings, maybe a year ago or so, when I was really in the throes of it. And I said, man, my biggest symptom above everything else is confusion. I'm so confused by all this. And I think that's still kind of the symptom that hangs around. I think it's maybe a result of this like really intense humbling, that this humbling experience of withdrawal. I think it kind of, for me anyway, it like crushed me to dust, and kind of it was revealed to me just how wrong I was about a lot of things. And I think when you are then shown that, it's probably a very natural reaction to then be very confused afterwards, because you're just like, left, like, what the hell do I do now? What do I do with all this? So I'm just kind of trying to take that in. I'm trying not to give any advice. I realize, like, I don't know anything in a good way. Like, I'm just trying to explore and trying to be open, and but it leaves me with just a kind of a feeling of like, wow, I'm very confused about a lot of things. But I'm trying to just be okay with that for now. That's kind of what's
I love the word confusion. Chris, that's the prerequisite for mysticism. And that's the prerequisite for actually growing up, is to realize, that the confusion is pushing me into the fourth dimension. As the fourth dimension, the confusion is, if a person is still, I go back to my teacher, David, all the time. He said, those people who think they can really do this world are actually, they think they're gliding down the highway when in truth they're actually sliding away. It's this is a deep rabbit hole. When I said that in the introduction, that we can't do this world. We can't do the world. And the confusion is a sign of awakening, showing us that we can't do it. It's 100% reliance on a higher power. That's what that's why I keep hosting these Zoom calls. I just teach what I need to learn, because I have to rely on my higher. The Bible said, what is it? The Bible said, I'm not a scholar. You've got to be like little children. But basically, he was saying is that you got to rely on God like it was your parent. I don't want to start preaching here, but confusion. That's what caught my eye. Confusion, it matures us, it seasons us, it shows us that humility is actually strength. That humility is what plugs us. I keep using the word reconnection, but the humility reconnects us. And we have to be willing to be reconnected. And that's what I see in you and all the others who keep coming, is this willingness. Show me, I don't know, show me. I'm starting to preach, so it's Beloved's turn. But you've got to unmute yourself.
Oh, nice to be here, guys. Hey, it's such
good to see you, Beloved.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see y'all. It's like coming to a hug. I needed this today. So, and what you're saying, Chris, is and dude, Kenneth, it's such it's like we're little children. It's like, yeah, confusion. I guess that's another name for mental illness. Mental illness is just fluff to front. It's a front for the real deal that we're all dealing with, whether you're tapering or, whatever you're at, we're all dealing with it. And I'm listening to this woman, Anita Morjani. Have you heard of her? Did you hear her?
Oh boy, she's on my website.
Oh my God. Her story. Isn't it all our stories? The title of her book is Dying to Be Me. Dying to be me. That's what we're doing. We're just and dying. The me isn't the little me. It's the higher self, who we really are. The love, and not the stories and the cobweb of confusion,
you want to talk about a way shower? She died. And she was, if she was in an erect, her body was withered down to 80 or 90 pounds. It was something horrendous. She died, and she saw what was true. And then Spirit said, get back into that body and start sharing it with others. And the moment she popped back into the body, she said, no more cancer, I'm done. Well, if that's true for cancer, that's a carte blanche. That's not only true for cancer, that's true for all illness. All of this, I've been damaged, look how long it's going to take. Well, Anita Morjani had tumors the size of cantaloupes, and they went away. And we keep going over this week after week after week, biology of belief, Bruce Lipton, but it takes, we have to we do have to, biology of belief. We've got to believe. The 12 steps came to believe. that's what I want my contribution to be, is to say, look, folks, I'm a little rough around the edges, but basically I'm a pretty well assembled man. I got a goddamn good life, and so don't follow me, but follow the message that I discovered, please.
And the experience that we're speaking from. I mean, that's what I value. If we hadn't sludged through all the shit, how are we going to really talk about it? I don't want nobody talking about who ain't been around all this, mental illness world. I mean, I will, but often I just yell at them because they're telling me about my mental illness. And I'm like, you can't tell me are you bipolar? Did you ever get a mental illness diagnosis? Have you ever been living your life? And then bam, bam, somebody says, oh, now you're certified. We're going to write it down. We're going to give you a prescription for you crazy. And then you have that identity. I mean, if you take it, right? And you might get it in you when you're a kid or whatever stage you get it. I got it at 40 something when I mothered 3 kids in the midst of my life. Oh, now you a crazy mother with 3 kids that you're responsible for. And what is house? But I'm just saying, it's whatever it is. Anita had the cancer that just, oh my God. I saw a picture. She had a picture. Oh my God. It's just like, and she's a medical miracle. And let's talk about miracles. Like Kenneth said, there's no order in miracles, right? I mean, but Anita Moorjani fucked everybody in the medical establishment up. Let's just say that. Really, they ran all kinds of tests. They couldn't believe it. They put her through all kinds of shit because the cancer had to be there. It was not possible that she is alive by anybody's stretch of imagination of science in the 3D world.
In the 3D world, that's what I do so often.
It couldn't be explained.
One of the ways I emerged is I took stories like that and I held on to them for dear life. I said, if that's what's possible, my desire to live is so strong that give me more. I was like a thirsty camel, in the desert, who had finally reached an oasis of water, saying, give me miracle stories. It worked. I'm supposed, I was on so many pills. I've told this in countless Zoom calls, pills after pills after pills, that according to all those groups, and according to some of these studies, I was brain damaged. That did not turn out to be true. And I'm remodeling, based, and doing architectural and construction and engineering. None of that turned out to be true. So yeah, let's talk about some miracles here. Let's just talk about miracles.
Yeah, a miracle can't be explained.
This is the interesting thing. All right, let's kind of back up a little bit, because Beloved and I are Course in Miracle students. We're not shooting for a miracle in form. That is the ultimate message that Anita comes in my mind. I'm not here to heal my body. I'm not here to heal my brain. I'm here to heal. Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but we're Course in Miracle students, so I'll do my best. I'm here to heal my mind, or to return to the mind of God. I've said before, I'm here to heal my heart. But maybe that's not the complete story. The metaphysics are essential. God didn't just point down and take my mental illness away. God threw at me all the metaphysics to help me unwind myself from my mental illness. I had to unwind myself from the beliefs, because I had made no fault, no blame, but unconsciously I had made myself sick. I was set up that way because I was born to a mentally ill family. So, but again, I had to take full responsibility, and my miracles came in the form of all the metaphysics and all the mighty companions who came in to hold my hand. Because the metaphysics were, I truly believed, and let's talk about identity too. My whole persona was based on an identity. It was a victim identity. But without it, I thought I would die without it. See, again, opposite turned out to be true. I began to emerge without it. So truly, am I making any sense here? Sometimes I kind of flip all over the map, because but if you can just kind of get through my fumbling, there's a message here. And it goes back to what Miracle Beloved was saying. That's how miracles work. They're proactive. And Chris, you're proactive. And you're the other thing I always tell you, you're young. You're young.
Well, it's funny, I what you're saying makes a lot of sense, Kenneth. I've been thinking a lot about like the lens in which we view the world, right? Which might also be a belief system or ideology or a identity. And it's so interesting because this group's all about reframing, and we talk about emotions and we talk about belief systems, and it's almost like there's like two types of lens, right? There's like a smaller lens that you could almost say is like your emotions, right? Like maybe in the moment you're feeling angry, so you're looking at everything through this anger lens, or you're feeling very loving and everything. Isn't that amazing? When you're feeling loving, you see all this love in the world. And then there's like this greater lens that's more of that like ideology and belief. And I think about my own life, and I really had two massive shifts in those like bigger lens. One was, I was raised very religious, very Christian, and that painted how I saw the world. That was such a strong lens in which I viewed myself, my relationships, my parents, my family, my how my life would go, what would happen after I die, like everything. Not painting it good or bad, but it's like it's a strong lens. And then when I left the church, when I went to college, it was such a shift because I felt myself pulling away from viewing the world through that lens. And then I was kind of searching for a new lens in which to view the world. And the only other time that really happened to me was right before I started tapering off the Paxil I was on, because for so many years I looked at life through the lens of psych drugs and kind of a psychology lens, psychiatric lens. And it's so interesting to see those shifts, because now when I speak to someone, I can tell I'm trying to figure out what lens they're viewing the world through. And then when I can kind of see it, sometimes it actually kind of scares me. I'll be like, oh my gosh, okay, this is a person that sees the world through this lens. And there I go back to the confusion. Then I start to wonder, which lens am I viewing the world through, and all these things. But I just think it's fascinating that wow, the lens in which we view the world paints the world in such a specific way that we should be very aware and careful of the lens we're choosing to look at the world through. Anyway, just wanted to share that kind of because what you're saying is making a lot of sense.
Well, actually, and as you were sharing, Chris, I got the topic for the Zoom call through the lens. No, I mean, yeah. This is what I love about this. I said this in the last Zoom call. Nobody needs the Course in Miracles. Listen, I was talking to a mighty companion, and a lot of people, it's way too intellectual for most of the human race, but that's fine. Go to Muji, go to Byron Katie, go to Nina Morris. I mean, what after years and years of being this metaphysical, metaphysical smorgasbord, finally the light bulb began. They're all pointing in the same direction. Now this is the problem. The Christian religion was pointing in that direction, but they had a lot of screwy beliefs that were. My spirit guide said, not your cup of tea, kiddo. You can go deeper than some of the fundamental dogma that has a fundamental core belief in sin. But all these paths are pointing towards the same, like you said, identity, large I, small I, which lens. But the fundamentalism does have a platform that's understandable. It says it can either be ego or spirit, but the Christians took that ego and they turned it into Satan, and then they made us afraid of it. And it got screwy. It could easily turn into a hamster wheel. So I was so thrilled when the internet began to come into its own. And I was able to do my own research and find this plethora, this wealth, this reservoir of teachers that back in the 70s and 80s, we had to get into a car or drive to a lecture or drive to a 12-step meeting. But now, with this great awakening taking place, we have it, right here on our, we can pick up a spiritual lecture on our iPhones. I truly am just thrilled about what I'm thrilled at most of the time is that I'm alive to see this day. I mean, back, in the 90s, I was hanging on by a thread, saying, someday things have got to improve. I don't know how I'm going to hold on, but someday there's got to be a way out of this. And truly, actually, it came with the advent of the internet and all these teachers and the connection. I'm here isolated in Cincinnati, Ohio, and here I'm connected with you too on a computer screen, just like you're in the office with me. I kind of go off on different tangents, but Chris, thank you. Through the lens, that's what the 12, Bill W. even wrote a book, a new set of glasses, spirit, ego. We do have a choice. We're not victims in this. And, if I can make a contribution, it's I can understand the pharmaceuticals, but still, that was another one of my religions, and it failed me just like Christianity failed me. And I don't want to fault either the religion of Christianity, the religion of psychiatry, but this is how we're doing it. I've talked too much. Your turn, beloved.
And the next step is the vertical, the emergence. It can't be getting back into another cycle of, oh, well, let me do this. And you see, because you can just put yourself back in it if you're not going. You have to keep following your heart, and you've got to have faith that you can go through seeing things differently. That's the only way I can say it, because it is, Chris, it's 180. When you see how fucked up, let me just say, when I see how fucked up, and it doesn't mean I still don't get all those ego attacks and everything. So don't think we're perfect here, behavior wise. But the point being is, I see the programming behind it. I'm not guilty. We're not guilty. We're just programmed, and now we're taking responsibility, because ultimately, all of us have to take responsibility to emerge and go to the next step, which is becoming our capital S self. And that's really hard. And the confusion becomes because my little self still has a life and a story and those emotions that hold it all together, and those beliefs and I'm on lesson 27 of the Course in Miracles, and the lesson today is God is in everything I see. And then the ones before that is, I don't even know what I see. I don't even understand what I see. I mean, this is how the mind training has to work, because it has been programmed. Everybody watching this, hello, you have programs. And our point is we got to get out of those programs. The drugs keep you in the programs. The TV keeps you in the programs. Society keeps you in the program. This is made for it. But now it's the end of a spiritual season. You don't have to understand that. You don't have to believe that. But now everything is being revealed. We're all being called to stop all this bullshit and get out of this cycle of confusion. We know better. We're all intelligent here. We can figure out it ain't working. In spite of all of our best efforts, and even getting off the pharmaceuticals, that's just another step up the ladder. Let's just say that. And we're here saying we might be a rung up or under you or whatever, but we're here to just support each other. That's what I come here for. Support that somebody understands, and that I understand what y'all saying. I feel it. I don't have to have the same experiences, but I feel what we're all going through. I think it's the same thing. It's just, it's greater than some label of mental illness, or in Anita Murjani's case, stage 20 cancer. I don't know how really, she's just But I just love, she's podcasts and everything. I was watching one of her podcasts. I mean, how she's emerged really has just made me just, wow. Because it's calling for more. I mean, she came back from death, but that wasn't enough. You understand? She came back from death, but that wasn't it. She's going to, okay, that's it. No. So, we don't.
You can't not. I mean, when someone comes back from death, they emerge from psychiatric care. Well, a person can't not become whatever our role is to share it, to extend it. It is 100 times more valuable than little round metal discs and little green pieces of paper. And that's, by the way, that was one of the biggest things I had to unbelieve was money. And money made me mentally ill. And I had lots of it. I started to emerge.
It's a big one. Money's a big thing for me. Money is still really hard.
And I'll get all sorts of flack from people in the New Age community saying, "Oh, it's just energy." Well, in order to emerge from something, you have to go all the way down the rabbit hole and unbelieve money completely. You said
it's
something.
Deep program. It's a deep program.
It's a very deep program.
Deep fear-based program. Deep.
Scarcity.
I thought I was over it. I was in denial. I'm seeing that now. So there are things we're going to still keep seeing. And it's like Kenneth always said, no fault, no blame. It's just the program that we have to be kind and gentle with ourselves. I have a hard time being kind and gentle when I see how stupid I've been, how self-destructive I can be.
Oh, it's what's the old term? It's like eating humble pie. Mm-hmm. And that humility is our fertilizer. That humility lets spirit start to say, are you ready to get in the back seat now? Or are we ready to get in the passenger seat now? And that's when I'm actually seeing miracles embodied in physical form now. I'm seeing them. So I'm here, I'm getting, my voice is getting more and more, capturing more clarity as this message, grows as I continue to evolve. The message, don't look at this Kenneth as if he's a well-assembled man, but there's a message here, and I'll say it's a valuable message because I spent years in those psych med, withdrawal groups, and it was important that I spend years in those to go to another level and say there's got to be a better way, because this again is discouraging. And Anita, it would be like going to a cancer support group. Anita Moorjani going to a cancer support group meeting where no one had a miracle to share. An AA meeting works because you got a lot of people down here, who are just walking in the door, but then you got other people who have completely emerged, and they match. And they synthesize, and together they all, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
What did I say?
When we come here, that's what we're doing. We're rising the tide. We're raising the energy. I love that. That's what we're doing. I love that. I feel better. So whatever we're doing, I feel better.
That's not coming from Kenneth. It's coming from the healer's prayer that starts us off every single Sunday morning.
Through us all. Through us all. I just love it.
Had a phone call with a mighty companion 2 days ago, another gay man, and we absolutely connected. And that's how I emerged is reconnecting with others, which means I've reconnected with myself. When I got off the call, I looked at the counter. It was 111.
I love those.
and I'm looking at this device. This may sound hokey, and people who are skeptics are gonna laugh, but I'm looking at these counters, and I'm getting 747, I'm getting 911, I'm getting 1111, and I'm still finding hair bands all over. My teacher David says we've got to follow the prompts, and he even did a movie workshop yesterday on just that. You know, it was, what was it? Was that one with Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey's did so many comedies. I can't remember which comedy it was, but in the movie, Jim Carrey was not following his prompts, and they were obvious, loud and clear. Stop what you're doing. Stop doing that. And that's how I was raised. Is you're supposed to override the prompts and follow the instructions. Do as you're told. Well, it got my whole family locked into mental illness and addictions. And what I have to realize is it has to crash and burn, you know, and they call that the 12-step hitting bottom. But then that's how we built our house on sand. See, the Bible's got some good stuff. We built our house on sand, washed away, perfect, has to. Now, the signs in these prompts, you know, show us little nudges. You're going in the right direction. That's how we're building our house on the rock. It has to be a ministry. I can't say that enough. Emergence. You know, my mental illness was thinking I had the worst childhood in the world, you know, and no one could ever recover from a story like mine because, you know, my name was Kenneth Price and I was born 4, 5, 6, 7. And then Spirit very kindly brought into my life a childhood friend whose childhood was even worse than mine. And he was living a very abundant, successful life. And he was a follower of Christ. Now, if that wasn't humbling, then I don't know what was. Apparently, you know, he had, you know, surrendered as a young man, and he had been carried. Now, I had to eat a lot of humble pie because, you know, how I can, you know, be so critical towards Christianity. But he was following a true teacher. And so, you know, for me to continue to emerge, I've got to follow my teacher, who's giving these signs and these prompts as synchronistic numbers, you know, that appearing all over. Caveat: in order to follow these signs and signals, I have to be in touch with what I'm feeling. In order to be in touch with what I'm feeling, I have to be free of pharmaceuticals. Now, that's the one where I've shared with everyone where all my work is to allow the feelings. Don't be frightened of them until listen to them. And I've been as honest as I can, you know, with the whole world, the internet. I still have quite a bit of rage and still quite a bit of anger, but that's fine. You know, the beloved's raising her hand too. Because Spirit doesn't, there's Spirit says, fine, we'll meet you where you're at. We're going to send you mighty companions who are also, you know, moving through their rage and through their anger. That's fine. As long as I can be honest about it, expose it. And, you know, this is how the gist here at the spiritual community works. They say, be honest, expose it, don't keep it a secret. And then they say, pray, you know, to have it lifted. Well, this Zoom calls to prayer. Yeah, I get kind of frustrated. People think prayer is you got to sit and it's got to be inform what it has to look like. I want to, you know, debunk that myth right now. Prayer is being willing to be shown, and it's saying help, asking for help. It arrives all the time.
And it may be that you don't want to. I mean, in my case, I want to be mad. I fucking don't want to not be mad. But I got to look at that. This madness is what I want right now. And, you know, I got all the intellectual Course in Miracles teachings, but right now I'm mad. And what it does say, don't deny what you're feeling. And just like you got to go through your hurt and your, you know, all those other, I got to feel my anger. And I don't know how to do that because it's very hard to do it. It just makes me, it's what is it? So, it's really those emotions that are behind it all. All of us have suppressed it some kind of way through whether we work 20 hours a day or we're on some kind of medication that does that, or, we all try not to feel the feelings because we get in the stories. I want the story. That's what making me mad, because I don't want to give my story, but being right.
I'm
I guess
glad
I
you
don't
brought
want
that
peace
up.
right now. I guess but eventually I know I will, because this does not feel good. I'd rather be my loving who I really am. So I do know that. I want to
Yeah,
feel
I'm
good.
glad you brought that up, because I've had a lot of anger the last week here at the spiritual community. You look at the wall behind me. I mean, the couple of Zoom calls ago, this was all framing. Now it's all been finished. It's all been textured and painted. And I'm going on to the next room and trying to remodel a property with a bunch of mystics is probably. I mean, this is absolutely maddening. I'm telling you, and I'll give you the lowdown. You have to use a Phillips screwdriver for a Phillips screw. No, the Holy Spirit told me you should use an Allen wrench. I just want to go like this. I said, I'm like this. I'm seriously. You may find it funny, but it's infuriating. They say, well, don't disagree with what the Holy Spirit says. Otherwise your ego's being defiant. I go into a rage. You can't argue with these people because they've got direct channel. See, this is what mine looks like. I have to back off. Literally, I mean, I'm sharing with you what's going on inside my head as I do this remodeling project.
Why can't you be angry? Why can't you be angry? You said I can't be angry. I can't show my anger.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
I'm going to have to wait until I turn the Zoom call off, the recording off, because I can get in big trouble for if I start to Let's wait till after.
No,
the
I mean that, not
Well,
like, I don't think Chris is saying in that particular situation. He's
right.
saying, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like, because I certainly, I've had a lot of anger and rage come up, in the last couple of years. And what I noticed that comes up with my anger, I don't know if either of you can relate or if this resonates with you, is like all these other feelings. So I feel the anger, but then I feel shame for feeling anger. I feel the anger and I feel fear because I shouldn't be angry. I have the anger, but then I go, beloved, you said that's not me, right? I'm not an angry person. There's all these other feelings where it's like, we're all judging the anger and we're all like telling ourselves like, I shouldn't be angry. This is nasty. This is ugly. Oh, I don't want to express my anger because that's bad and mean. And what I'm hearing is like a lot of old programming of like, that's what parents tell the children. And don't be angry. Be a nice boy. Be a nice girl. But maybe there's a damn fine reason you're angry. It doesn't justify, we don't want to hurt anyone or but I think the more I'm afraid of my anger, the more the anger just like persists and lives there.
Chris, you're nailing it, and this is where I'm now. You're becoming my teacher, because I know I'm about ready to pop around here. I mean, I know I can feel it in my intuitive sense, and I'm about ready to rip someone a new asshole here. And I have to wait for the right time. The right spirit will give me the right place, the right time, and it's not going to contain any spiritual language. It's going to be back off now. There's a lot of. I'll tell you what's going on here. They're using shame-based language. Now, I come from a background where we keep it in the I form, where we take responsibility. None of those rules are being applied here. Do as I say. Shame on you, and it ain't working for me here. But I still I don't know what's going on. I don't have the full picture. But you're right, Chris. I'm still frightened of my anger. I'm having violent thoughts, and I shared that with about several Zoom calls ago. Violent thoughts, and that's why this place here is designed to drag all that stuff up. It's a very hard community to belong to. It's a monastery. It's in Beloved Mills. It's spiritual boot camp, and
Well, listen, I'm married, so I don't know about you, Chris. That's another boot camp. Marriage. Thank you. So
Well, I'm basically married to the community right now,
yeah.
and so there's going to be an explosion. My biggest, I've got a lot of fears, and they're gonna become I'm gonna have to face it, because no one can screw in a Phillips screw with an Allen wrench. It just won't work.
Yeah, that is, man, that's so wild. It's like, what's been coming up for me a lot lately. I haven't been dealing with anger as much, but I've been dealing a lot with fear, just like fear, and start predicting the future, right? Well, if I do this thing, this person's gonna respond like this. I just know it, so therefore I won't even bring that up. Or you start trying to predict the future and predict these fears and everything. But I think anger is very similar, right? It's like we start telling ourselves stories about how people will react, how people will judge us, and who the hell knows? Maybe they will, or maybe they won't. But like uh not to tell you what to do or anything, Kenneth, but like I wonder if you were to share your feelings, if they would be listened to in the way that you think they'd be listened to, and I wonder if by not sharing how you're feeling, I wonder if that anger just builds, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I'm having, violent thoughts. What I'm kind of hearing is like, well, that's the anger trying to get your attention, because maybe you're not listening to it. Maybe you're not accepting it for what it is. My meditation teacher would always say, anger is misguided power. And I love that kind of reframing. She was like, when you're angry, it's because someone's done something to you that's made you angry. Something's happened and it's a response. It shouldn't be judged, and it shouldn't be listened to too intently, right? It shouldn't be given the steering wheel. But I do wonder if it's like, if you're feeling angry, that's something is happening, and you shouldn't deny it, right?
I totally get where you're going with this, because that's what I'm like. I'm like, it's not the story. I get into the justification. Like, Kenneth clearly justified in his story. You see what I'm saying? Because the story, the ego's going to justify its anger. And we know anger is never to be justified. So I totally know that. That doesn't mean that we don't feel it. And that's what I want to do. How can I feel this? How can I go? Can I just feel it? I mean, what happened then? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I got to run out and it's going to make me do something, but can I see? Oh, look at it. It's giving me violent thoughts. Look at this. Wow, this is, it's making me feel some kind of way in my stomach. I feel kind of tense here. Um, it certainly
Yeah.
makes me look 10 years older if I catch myself in the mirror, angry instead of smiling. I mean, I'm analyzing this thing. I'm like, what is this emotion, this energy that's making me? And there is power in anger. It's absolutely. Power is neither good or bad. Power can't be judged. Power is like how you going to I know it's not to be redirected into more anger. I don't want more anger. Do I
Yeah.
need? And I've always used anger. Wow, Chris, I've always used anger to power my way through situations quickly. Like
Oh
I will
man.
just be
Yeah.
mad and leave something I've been in 10 years. And I can't tell you, that's not a good thing to do. That, that I can see how that hasn't served me. That to use my anger like that, because it doesn't, I don't think I want to, we can't just put band-aids on everything. And this anger thing, I think it's a deep thing to kind of feel around here, you know.
Was probably bringing up a lot of old stuff too, right? Not just in the
Hmm.
moment, not just that situation. It's everything that ever happened prior that, yeah.
No accidents coming up in a spiritual community. We got about less than 10 minutes left. We got a new member, Rafi. Hi, it's nice to meet you. Welcome
Hi.
to our Zoom call. We got Chris, we got Beloved. You're coming in a little bit late, but love to give you some time. Rafi, this is being recorded for the next 10 minutes. We do an hour recording. How'd you find us? And quickly, let's put you on the spot.
How did I find you? I think one of the group members, he invited me. I think Chad. Was it Chad?
I got a lot of group members. Some of them show up to the Zoom call.
Someone invited me before. So, and I attended you once previously, and I just noticed that you mentioned that the group is running an hour ago, and I just logged in right now.
That's fine. Well, we record for an hour and then I leave the Zoom room open. So if you've attended before, you kind of know the gist. You know, I'm Kenneth Price.
I don't remember.
Tons and tons of pills once upon a time. I got off all the pills and unbelievable my mental illness. And I host these Zoom calls every Sunday morning. And Beloved and Chris, they show up every Sunday. We're talking about anger. You know, we just kind of do what's going on today. And you know, I'm nothing to do with the pills anymore. But I've just got some life anger, and you know, we're just slogging through our life challenges basically. But anything if you want to share, if you just want to listen, we're here for you, buddy.
Is everybody off the pills right now?
I'm completely off. Chris is almost off. Beloved never went on. I've been off. My very last pill was probably close to 7 years ago.
Yeah, Rafi,
Yeah.
I'm coming off of Paxil after a couple of decades, and I'm still on a low dose, but closing in here on like this spring, it'll be 2 years of tapering and getting close to being completely off. How about you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, Jaime, you don't want to know. I'm such a mess. If you want to know my story, I've been on benzos for 20 years and it stopped working all of a sudden 2 years ago. And I did not know what to do. I had small children in the house with my wife. So I had to send to rehab, and they just 5 days and they took me off, and it's been 16 months and as you see, I'm alone. Everybody left me. I just I got nobody anymore. My family, my kids, my wife left, everybody.
Rafi, I'm recording this, so it'll be posted to YouTube, you know, shortly after the call is over.
I want to be on YouTube.
But one of the topics we were talking about earlier were miracles. And Beloved brought up a very important way shower. Her name was Anita Morjani. She's actually on my website. And, buddy, just what you shared is exactly what we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes. That all of us, you know, have been completely, you know, the slate's been wiped clean. The house that was on stand. I'm not saying everyone's house is on stand, but you know, that's kind of a biblical metaphor. But all of I lost everything, and that was the best thing that could have happened to me. And as I emerged, I realized that I lost nothing and gained everything. One of the things we do here is a lot of reframing. And now, and this is, I only got a few more minutes, so I'm just kind of, you know, pounded it really quickly. But I just want to share with you, you know, what we've been talking about, you know, my own story too. I'm not saying this because I'm lecturing. This is my firsthand experience. Yes, I was completely leveled. Yeah, I came off 25 years of countless pills. And yes, the withdrawals were something that I would rather not even have to talk about. They were that bad. And today, you know, I want to shine the light. Look, buddy, you know, no brain damage, just fine, you know, and better off for it. I want to leave you with some experience, strength, and hope. In other words,
is this about fate?
Fate or faith?
Faith, yeah. Like, is it like a faith group?
Faith, Faith.
Right.
Well, it depends how you describe faith. Now, I kind of go through this the first 5 minutes of every Zoom call. I have called this a ministry Now, I am not, going to tell anyone what to believe. We're not here to sell a religion. I will say that it took a higher power to emerge this man beyond that. It has to. I'm very clear on that. The secular approach is just going to keep a person spinning, out lost in spaceland. That's why I've called this psychiatric sobriety. A higher power has got to come into this. Otherwise, I learn from my mistakes. It takes what I call a higher power that comes directly from the 12 steps. So to answer your question, yes, it does take faith.
Okay. And where can I read your story, by the way?
Well, I didn't put it in the chat. Have you seen my website yet?
No.
Psychiatricsobriety.com.
And I can read it there?
Psychiatricsobriety.com. Everything, I put all the information down there, including probably close to 150 videos.
Even your journey?
I think one of the, it's in there. I try not to go back into the story too much. Trust me, buddy, it was horrendous. I know it's on probably one of the videos if you go through my YouTube channel, but if the story's helpful, you'll find it there. But only to qualify that I'm not farting unicorns out my ass. The story is for the purpose of qualification. Beyond that, you follow the trail of breadcrumbs out of the dark forest. I've laid it all out. It's clunky, it's didactic. I'm not a spiritual teacher. I'm a contractor. I'm an architect. I'm an artist. But for God damn it, I put it all down into a website so people who want it, it's there for them, and it's for free. Psychiatricsobriety.com.
Okay.
Yeah, Rafi, we talk a lot about like reframing and the idea that like whatever drove us to seek pills in the first place, like that needs to be addressed, as well as just the physical symptoms and emotional symptoms of coming off the pill. It's like coming off the pill almost begs for this shift, this reframing of the mind, because if we were to just stay in the same mind that caused us to reach out to pills for help, that way of thinking tells us like the pills are helping. I need the pills. There's something wrong with me. I'm sick. I'm deficient in something, and I need something outside of myself to fix that. And so what we do in this group is try to talk about that and share that and realize that, wow, there's a different way of looking at this. Kenneth's always talking about how withdrawal from psych meds can be a great opportunity for emergence, kind of this transformation and looking at things from a different lens. Hey, maybe I'm not sick. Maybe I'm a normal human being experiencing very normal human emotions. And somewhere along the line, I got tripped up and I reached out to these pills, and then that sent me on this whole crazy roller coaster that now we're electing to get off of and try to get a little more straightened out.
And that's the story of this entire ministry. Listen, I didn't mean to cut you off. We Rafi, Chris, we can keep going, or you can keep going in about 3 minutes. But let me wrap this up for the YouTube archive. All right. So this is Kenneth Price. This is Sunday, January 29th. This is the 62nd Sunday morning Zoom call for the ministry. I'm hosting psychiatricsobriety.com, and Chris and Beloved and I dialogued for over 45 minutes on what was the topic. The topic. Chris came up with a topic. It's going to be through which the lens we're perceiving this. And Rafi, that's why I want you to revisit this YouTube archive. Which lens? We have a decision here. We can look at these withdrawals through the ego's lens or the spirit's lens. The whole purpose, like Chris just said, the whole purpose of this ministry, we're going to get you into the spirit's lens, and you're going to get through this, well, anyway, it's all on my website. So I'm wrapping this up. If you're watching this on YouTube, please, 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 please support this ministry by attending these Zoom calls. If you want to send money, that's great, but it's actually more important. Well, that's important too, and that's helpful. But what's more important is that you show up at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday so that I can keep doing this. I will keep doing these Zoom calls as long as people show up. there's my rant. God bless and have a great week, and may the force be with you. Bye.
Bye-bye.